Hello, and welcome to the video. Today, we are going to be talking about the incredible accomplishments of one of the greatest authors of the 20th century. I would like to begin by talking about the power that books hold. Books can take us anywhere in the entire world and to any point in history. Books, like 1984 and Fahrenheit 451, take us to dystopian futures where the government has full control of all we consume and free will has vanished. Books can also teach us valuable lessons. Animal Farm was a critique of totalitarian governments told through the eyes of simple farm animals. And finally, American Psycho shows us the dangers of consumerism, hedonism, and object-based identity. Now, no writer is better at mastering both of these elements than Harper Lee. Lee uses vivid, time-appropriate language and a detailed setting to tell an amazing story full of racism, love, understanding, and friendship. Now, let's just jump right in and find out more about this incredible woman. Harper Lee was born on April 28, 1926. In Monroeville, Alabama. She was the youngest of 4 children and loved the outdoors. She was good friends with future famous writer Truman Capote. Being a tomboy, she never hesitated to pick fights with boys who were picking on her friend. For most of her young life, Lee's mother suffered from a mental illness that often kept her indoors. Some believed that she suffered from bipolar disorder. Lee's father, however, was a lawyer and a member of the Alabama state legislature. He was also a part owner of the local newspaper. When she got to high school, Lee developed a deeper appreciation for the English language. After she graduated high school in 1944, Lee attended the all-female Huntington College in Montgomery, Alabama. While in college, she became a member of the Literary Honor Society and the Glee Club. A bit after that, Lee enrolled at the University of Alabama, where she began to study law. Lee was hoping to follow in her father's footsteps and become a lawyer herself. While at the University of Alabama, she wrote for the humorous school magazine Rammer Jammer, which she later became the editor of. This awakened her love of writing. Harper Lee then decided to attend the prestigious Oxford University as an exchange student for only 1 year. It was here that she realized law was no longer of interest to her. After her 1-year stint at Oxford, she dropped out of college and moved to New York in 1950. It was there she worked at an airline as a reservations officer. Soon after starting, she received financial aid from friends that allowed her to write full-time. It was in 1959 when Harper Lee finished the manuscript for her future bestseller. To Kill a Mockingbird was published in 1960 with the help of Lippincott editor Tay Hohoff. The book took off like a rocket. Not a year later, the book had sold over 500,000 copies and had been translated in 10 languages. However, reviews of the book were mixed. It was only after the success of the film adaptation that critics reconsidered and began to praise and widely recommend the novel. After a few years of living in New York, Lee decided she missed home. So she decided to relocate back to her hometown of Monroeville. Aside from To Kill a Mockingbird, Lee had some other notable works as well. She wrote a few short essays including Romance and High Adventure in 1983, which was devoted to Alabama's rich history. In 2015, she wrote Go Set a Watchman. What this was is essentially a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird, where the main character of the first book returns to her childhood home in Alabama to visit her father. Now, Let me give you a brief synopsis of the novel. The novel is told predominantly from the perspective of a young girl, Jean Louise Finch, or Scout. She is the daughter of a lawyer named Atticus Finch. Scout and her brother Jem learn the principles of racial justice and open-mindedness from their father, whose just and compassionate acts include an unpopular defense of a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman. They also develop the courage and the strength to follow their convictions in their acquaintance and eventual friendship with a recluse, Arthur Boo Radley, who has been demonized by the community. The novel was praised for its sensitive treatment of a child's awakening to racism and prejudice in the American South during the Great Depression, give or take the 1930s. The novel inspired the notable 1962 classic film of the same name. It stars the incredible Gregory Peck as Atticus Finch. His Academy Award-winning performance became a permanent piece of cinema history. The film is shot in black and white, which adds levity to a lot of the scenes. Another adaptation included a Broadway play written by the great screenwriter Aaron Sorkin and starred the brilliant actor Jeff Daniels. Some books, music, art, TV shows, and films can become so popular they become permanent pieces of American culture. One great example of this is the Beach Boys. To some, the Beach Boys are a couple of dudes who sing about the beach and sand and girls. To others, they are a musical powerhouse whose melodies are unmatched and incredibly unique. Some music study classes at the college level spend weeks talking about how they changed the course of modern music. To Kill a Mockingbird had the benefit of not only being an incredible book, but an incredible movie as well. If I may be so bold, many of the best books have some of the greatest movies to accompany them. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, mwah. Gone with the Wind, mwah. And The Outsiders, mwah, are perfect examples. 47 years after the initial publishing of the book, Harper Lee was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President George W. Bush. Lee was also awarded the 2010 National Medal of the Arts for her service to literature. Now, for every popular book, there are a group of hard-pressed naysayers bent on getting the books censored. This has been not only an issue with books, but ideas throughout history. In 1925, John Scopes was taken to court for teaching the theory of evolution in a state-funded school. When Harry Potter initially came out, many religious groups fought it as they believed it contained satanic imagery and witchcraft. In the 1980s, Tipper Gore and her cronies fought for the censorship of bands like Wasp and Twisted Sister. In 1996, To Kill a Mockingbird was banned from advanced placement English courses in Lindale, Texas, because it conflicted with the values of the community. Now, what could have caused them to make such a drastic decision? One word. The N-word. This word is so powerful and knee-jerking that many call for it to be removed from books and movies. I disagree with this, and here's why. Take Huckleberry Finn. That book tells the story of the relationship between a young boy and his runaway slave friend, Jim. Although the two are shown to be friends, Huck still continuously uses that word. Why? Because that was the rhetoric of the times. That word was extremely commonplace, especially in the South. Here is another more modern example, Django Unchained. This Quentin Tarantino classic is the story of a slave who, with help, is able to take revenge on all of the slave masters who mistreated him and enslaved his wife. This movie regularly uses the N-word. Why? Because in the time period and region the movie is set in, specifically the antebellum South in the 1850s, people owned slaves and used them for manual labor. Yes, it was a very evil time in American history. All we can do is grow and evolve from what we once were. By working together, we can actively make the world a better place for our children. Sadly, the world lost this great author on February 19th, 2016, at the age of 89. She is an amazing writer and an even more incredible woman. Harper Lee shows us that following your dreams can lead to works of art that impact hearts and minds for years and years. Harper Lee was not just an inspiration for women, but for all who wished to change the world. I leave you with this final quote.